There's no use in me starting this off with a peace greeting either, so not even gonna bother. I initially would have recorded this without hostility until I saw certain comments from the same interlocutor from Chicago. Now that I've seen these comments calling me and other people gay for no valid reason, which is serious in my faith and where I live, I'm still gonna try to be fair. But don't get my attempts to be fair and civilized fucked up, homeboy. When it's a contest, I play to win, and when it's a conflict, I fight to win. So, any attempts at self-restraint on my part, and to avoid being unfair and overcrossing bounds, have more to do with a fear of God and just me being 40 and too old for this stuff than they have to do with any fear of you. Now, in part one, because this is part two of my last upload, so in part one, homie, I was deconstructing a point that I thought you made because of a typo. You've admitted you made a typo, so I admit that that rebuttal of mine was not even warranted. There was no need, because I simply thought you meant something you didn't based on how you typed it. You admitted to an error, so I admit to one. Even though my error was justified, I still confess it like it's an error, and I take that off the table. Just to be fair, just to make sure. But, keep this in mind too, bro. That leaves still two things. Number one, you think I'm a liar, and that's okay. It's no big deal, but if you think I'm a liar, then stop listening. Because if I'm really a liar, and as you say, everybody knows it, which people actually can tell I'm not, for the most part, then all you got to do is stop listening. I mean, I'm a liar and everybody knows it, right? So I can't harm anybody with my lies. And you said I started this beef with my videos and my comments. I didn't start a beef, dummy. You did. You just didn't believe it, and it's okay. But then you start with, oh, and by the way, you're anti-black. And that's the next thing I need to holler at you about. I've met many people that were against their own kind, but you, sir, you take the cake. I mean, I don't think that you're necessarily anti-black that I know of, but I got my doubts now. And, I'm not going to get on, I'm confused about what he said he suspects about you. I'm not going to do that because there's reason to suspect it. I just didn't speculate about that out loud. He said, I suspect. He said, I think. He didn't say it's definitely sure. But you're like, oh, no, y'all must be gay. You outright said, you didn't even say I suspect. You're like, no, you must be gay. You and him. No, Ninja, that's not how it works. So let me tell you something. There are two kinds of men that really, really don't care about what women think. One is a genuinely gay man. Now, I don't think anyone's born that way, but if a man becomes genuinely gay for whatever reason, then he doesn't really care about what women think. The other one is a man that's simply too grown to concern himself what women think unless these women have some kind of importance to him, i.e. they're related or they're not only wives but good wives. Those are the two cases in which men don't care about what women think. Other than that, most heterosexual men do care about what women think. At least they care about what they don't think. That's normal, because, heterosexual women care about what men think, and at the very least, they care about what men don't think. But you went straight to, oh, nigga, you gay. Straight to it. That's actually an emotional ad hominem response that comes straight out of the playbook, and I made mention of that. Dwight Hayes will tell you this. Dwight Hayes has the playbook of the pro-matriarch, the matriarch, the gynocrat, and the mandingos and their goons. He's got them memorized. He could write them down right now. He's done it in other comments under another video of mine. Shout out to Dwight Hayes. And what you said came straight out that playbook. Oh, you just mad because you did. And how you gonna sit up and say somebody gay because they didn't get the draws earlier? I mean, frankly, for you to say just, for you to say just shows a level of not in-depth thinking, or a level of shallow thinking. Because frankly, I'll put it to you like this. If a woman's a slut, she's a slut. That means that yes, any man that she decides to deny does have a right to be upset. He doesn't have a right to go overboard and break the law, but he does have a right to be upset, not trust her, not be that nice to her afterwards because she's decided I'm going to be loose, just not for this dude. And I'm going to make a loud show of trying to make him know that he ain't going to get none. That's okay, fine, fair enough. That's okay. But I mean, that's exactly how we're going to roll. In other words, I'm not going to walk around holding a grudge, but if a lady is a slut and wants to make a show of telling me no, well, number one, I didn't ask her, because I don't ask slut stuff like that. I mean, I don't even go chasing behind the drawers like that as a Muslim. So that means she has to go out of her way to do something like this in my case, and I've seen women do that. Go out of their way. They pick one guy and go out of their way to tell him no in front of everybody, which means they're just putting on a show to try to get some of their self-dignity at the expense of a man that wasn't even bothering them. There are women that do this. Usually they're young. You seem to be defending that kind of mindset. An immature mindset in women to begin with. Do you want to sit up and say something about, yeah, y'all niggas gay, man, that's why y'all defending each other? No, it's because simply put, they're right and you wrong. They don't have to defend me in exchange. If somebody were to blame you and call you a liar, and I had evidence that what you were saying was the truth, or at least that you didn't make it up, maybe you misunderstood it, I would defend you too. I would have. I'll put it like that, just to be fair. See, my reason for doing this is not what you think. My reason for doing this is literally out of this world. Literally. Now, you've said I'm anti-black, so this one I'm gonna say. I don't understand where you get that. Logically, I don't understand how you could think it, but you do. So if you're gonna say that, come with the evidence within 24 hours of this uploading. Bring the evidence for why you said it. Or admit you made a mistake. You could even admit that somebody else made a mistake and misled you. You could even do that. If I don't see one or the other or some combination of these within 24 hours in the comment section underneath this one, then I'm not blocking you because I can't stand the heat per se. You ain't really bringing much. It's just I'm gonna block you because we can't learn anything from each other. We don't trust each other. And all you're gonna do is hurl accusations with no basis, no evidence that I know can't possibly be true, especially legally where I live. I mean, fit the guck out of here, bro. A married man in one of the most conservative regions of the world, trying to get some dude's drawers. Yeah, okay. I would get my head cut off within 30 minutes if I tried something like that. And I got no interest in trying it. But you want to sit up here and just throw accusations like this. Nigga, please. You're right. It doesn't matter to me what's going on there because, yeah, I am married and I live abroad. It matters only because I don't think that another generation should have to go through this kind of stuff and then have to turn around and hear from these same ones pushing them away. You need to keep it black. That's what that's about. Now, I got suspicions as to why you want to say, nigga, you anti-black. Number one, suspicion number one. You've heard what I've advocated for black folks and what I've advocated against regarding us. And you think that something that is bad for us is necessary or something that is good for us is actually bad for us. That's one possible reason. The other reason possibly is you're not really against the gynocracy, but you're for it, and you're posing. But since I'm not for a gynocracy, in which the women call the shots anyway, and you're for it, posing like you're not, then you're upset about that. Those are the two possibilities I can come up with, but maybe there's something I missed. Just in case I'm being fair, giving you 24 hours from this upload to come with it. Or admit you made a mistake. Or we're done talking, cutting off communication, and I won't mention your name afterwards, provided you do the same thing. We just keep each other's names out of our mouths. But keep this in mind, homie. What you did was up fuck. Accusing people of being, accusing people of one of the worst sins in anybody's scriptures. Nonetheless, you probably don't see it as being that bad. But, you got 24 hours to bring the evidences, or we're done. And I'm not going to stop recording what I record unless I can come up with an objective observation that has a better explanation than what I got for what I witnessed. But the pattern, I saw it. That was it. And I got no reason to doubt that J. Cash saw the same pattern. You may be thinking, well, they just don't want to look in on themselves and see what they've been doing wrong. In actuality, that was not the case. I've already said, it was about a week ago I recorded, it's her dysfunction and not your flaws. When I recorded that one, that was because that's oftentimes what we hear. And see, for, maybe the first few years of high school when nobody wants to admit that they're shallow as fuck, pardon my French, short guys might hear, no, it's not that you're short, it's something wrong with you. Poor guys might hear, well, it's not that you're poor, it's something wrong with you, it's not that they've got more money. Yeah, that's what we hear. Pale-skinned guys, of course, may hear, but see, when you're pale, they don't say, well, it's not because you're light-skinned or because you're mixed-looking. They don't say that in the beginning. What they do is they just simply say, oh, you ain't that cute. Oh, don't think you cute just because you, and they mention all this other stuff. They'll say, well, just because you light-skinned with the curly hair, you light-skinned with the green eyes, don't start to thinking you're cute, don't get the big head. That's what they say. Like, right off the bat, you're arrogant. And I've actually had a friend of mine say to me, a friend of mine from real life say to me, just a few weeks ago, Black, man, back in his hometown, a lot of these women were surprised by you because despite your looks, you were never arrogant. And they couldn't figure that out. Now, that's what somebody said to me. Now, if that's the case, I want you to keep this in mind, that if I was ugly, I would simply not even think about it. Okay, I'm just ugly, fine. All right, so if I want to start a family, then I just have to make twice as much money as somebody else to compensate for the looks, or I could just stay by myself. And I probably would have chosen to make twice as much money just to enjoy life and still stay by myself if that's the case, because then I'd win on both areas. And if I was just ugly, I would want to know if I was just ugly, because if I was just ugly, I wouldn't try to have kids. No matter how many draws I was getting, I would not try to have kids and pass that on if I was just ugly. And I even considered the possibility, just to be fair, I consider that. So I've already been through those stages that you want me to go back through. Most of us have. Most men, whatever their phenotype of a certain age, have already been through the stages of looking in and, figuring out what they're doing wrong. That's exactly what it is that white folks have been telling black folks lately a lot. And what black folks have even been saying to each other. Well, look in on yourself and see what you're doing wrong. I'm going to tell you who I saw this happen to within the black Muslim community, sir. And I don't mean NOI and Farrakhan and bean pies and bow ties. I'm talking about the black Sunni Muslim community. I'm going to tell you what I saw there. A lot of materialistic sisters, because they watch the same movies as any non-Muslim woman. Looking at what Muslim practicing heterosexual black Muslim men don't have materially, because they got to face anti-black misandry and Islamophobia. And getting mad, instead of looking at the anti-black misandry and Islamophobia that black heterosexual Muslim practicing men face, they simply said, these brothers don't have their shit together. And then when some man would come along and want to discuss marriage, they would say, well, you need to work on yourself first. And seeing a lot of black Muslim men internalize this bullshit. And then along comes somebody with some money, black or not. For whatever reason, he slipped through the cracks, he got money. Usually it's because they're not holding on to their faith as tightly. And they're hiding it. And I know because I did that as an experiment at one point and did make more money. It worked. So I actually proved that that's what was happening before I would ever record this. But see, I saw this whole, work on I saw brothers internalize this. And then I would say, wait a minute, hey man, you're 29, you ain't married. No, man, I'm working on myself. I need to be a better person, be a better Muslim. Yeah, you're never going to finish working on yourself. So at what point do you qualify to marry, sir? And yes, I also do mean get them drawers. At what point do you qualify for that? If they can be immature, materialistic, wanna-be ratchet, non-practicing, almost not even Muslim ladies, and pass the wall, and they still qualify. Like they're just owed somebody to come and take care of them and the orphans. Man, shuck that fit. So I'm beyond that stage, bro. I'm not saying it's a stage to never go through. Everybody's got to go through it. What I'm saying is I did that. I've already done that. So I don't need to be told. And Jay Cash is in his 30s. He's past that stage where he would need to be told, go looking on himself. And Selecta said he was about to be 39, so he's already reached his 39th birthday just now. So he's already past that stage, been through it. Anybody needs to go through a stage where they introspect. Sure, that's fine. What happens when you've already done all the introspection you can do? And then you see that somebody else doesn't have to get the same results, whether they're sexual or financial. Then what? See, that's where we all are at this point. I'm not walking up to young 16-year-olds in the States or anywhere else and saying, hey, look, man, you don't need to work on yourself. You just need to blame this on something that's beyond your control. No. I don't say that. I say to them, they're going to play this game on you. Look into yourself to make sure that you're not actually justifying things they would say that are negative. Then after that, you're not required to tolerate any BS from them. And you have every right to hold them to the exact same standards that you had to meet. That's the crux of my message when it comes to the ladies. I've never said that heterosexual men are going to just completely disregard women and what they say and what they think. I've never said that. Because that's not the way that the genders were designed. It's just something that we have to do. We have to go into doing in order to survive, because they've been screwed up, and we, for the most part, have not been so badly screwed up that we're unfit for marriage and fatherhood as a whole, whereas they have been screwed up to the point that they are categorically unfit in the West. That's the end of it. 24 hours. Prove your case. That there's some evident, logical evidence that I'm anti-black, or admit you made a mistake, or there will be no more exchange of ideas between us. That's the ultimatum. Keep in mind, I know that you're playing chess, but that don't mean that I'm playing checkers. The two proverbs that most explain this are that, number one is a proverb that became a proverb accidentally. That's a long story. It doesn't matter to you anyway. But the first proverb is relatively new, and that is that the fox's mistake is when he forgets about the older fox. And the second proverb is that we don't go up to an old gorilla and teach him the paths of the forest. And I think you understand what these mean. Next thing I'm gonna say is, when it comes to playing to win or fighting to win, and what these proverbs have to do with that, there is a hint. When you understand it, then you reach the level of maturity. You can get the hint from LAR Movement when he explains how it is that real thinking, non-stereotypical black men actually do protect women. When he explains that and you understand it, then there's a level of maturity that you will have reached, Lord willing. Till then, you need to ponder this, man. I'm not saying you should never talk. I'm not saying you should never have an opinion and not think for yourself. Despite the fact that right now you're running around here immaturely and unmanly accusing dudes of being gay because they don't agree with you. And because they're not willing to fall for a particular game that Western women, especially Western black women, have successfully pulled off on Western black men for about a generation or more. To the rest of the audience, thank you for listening. Black heart, black mind, black out. And black, heterosexual, non-select, even light-skinned and mixed, ambiguous looking power just because he don't like it.